In today's video, we're going to be draining and filling the transmission fluid as well as cleaning the throttle body on the 2021 Hyundai Elantra. Transmission does utilize the CVT fluid. In order to do so, first thing that we're going to do is take apart this area to expose the drain fill area that's hidden underneath the airbox area. If I could zoom in right there, you could actually see where we're going to be getting to, if my camera will so allow. That is the fill bolt. So in order to gain proper access to the fill bolt, we will need to remove these components, clean it up very well. We want to make sure that we can fill it first before we drain it. And after we're done going ahead and making sure that's okay, we can go and work on the underside. Also, while we're at it, since we're going to be removing the airbox today, we are going to attempt to clean the throttle body that's right there. It is held in place by 4 10mm bolts, and there's a bunch of hoses that we will be disconnecting and things like that. We're also parked on a level flat surface, so we will be jacking up the vehicle because, as you can see, it's a little low to put your head under there. So we obviously want to make sure that we can come under the underside of the front lip to be able to drain the transmission fluid. But again, first things first, we're going to be working on the top side. If you want, it's always a nice idea to disconnect the negative battery terminal before performing extensive work on your vehicle, just to make sure everything's good and dandy when it comes time for startup. Also make sure that you do have your vehicle doors unlocked in that, for instance, for example. So we have approximately 116,355 miles on this vehicle, and we've decided that because it's in such good prime tip-top shape, well taken care of and maintained, that we are not going to replace the pan gasket and transmission filter found inside the transmission, and just going to do a quick dump and reload of the transmission fluid. Now, to each their own. You may want to, if you're really rough with your vehicle, do those things, but we don't want to do those things. We want to make sure that we do 3.5 quarts of transmission fluid dumped out. That's approximate. It could vary anywhere from 3 to 3.75 that comes out, but you want to specifically put back in what you take out. So it's important that you get your measurements exact. Some of the things we got going for our adventure today are some microfiber cloths that'll help to clean around the fill bolt area, the underside of the vehicle, the throttle body, etc. We also bought some, just under $11, CRC throttle body and air intake cleaner. This is a 12-ounce can purchased from Advanced Auto Parts for $10.49 plus state sales tax. We got a really great, well washed out funnel. This will be what we're utilizing to fill up on the transmission fluid. Once we go ahead and fill, we'll have that. We got a secondary funnel. This will be for the dump, so we can measure exactly. This one's not a great filter. It's got some gunk and stuff, but we will be going ahead and dumping the old fluid in through this funnel to measure out how much we're taking out. So this will work purposefully very well. We also have a drain pan that is just to collect the transmission fluid we're going to dump out from the underside. We got some amazing oldies but goodies, always guaranteed craftsman's tools that we will be utilizing today. And this is our older box that we like to use. We call it vintage, even though it's really not vintage yet. We got tons of washcloths and all different types of shop towels, paper towels to utilize for our mess. This is what the top side looks like. We have gone ahead and actually disconnected, just for the purpose of, the safety of the vehicle, disconnected the negative battery terminal. easily, and it's just to be safe, of course, you know, in the procedures that we're performing today. Always wear protective eyewear, protective glove wear too. You don't want to hurt yourself. In addition to jacking out the vehicle, we do have some jack stands. They will be most supportive for keeping the vehicle up off the ground. Sometimes jacks do fail while you're under there and can crush you and kill you. So these jack stands serve very well, and we've actually picked them up for very cheap, and they've served very purposeful. All right, so this is the transmission fluid we will be going ahead and utilizing today. Always use genuine Hyundai if you're working on Hyundai, and especially if you're working on a Honda, use genuine Honda, but we are doing Hyundai today. So we're using the SP-CVT 1. There's the part number if you need. This is 1 quart. This is continuous variable transmission fluid, and you can see the measurements are always on the side right here. If you so choose to want to see how much, make sure you have a Sharpie marker too to mark off where all your markings are as far as this whole fluid ordeal is concerned. But if you want to go ahead and pick this up, check in with a local Hyundai dealer or see where you can get it online, maybe from eBay or something like that. Sometimes they won't ship it to you because it is a hazardous material, but I picked up a total of 4 quarts for just under $80 at a local Hyundai dealer for the purpose of this transmission fluid swap out that we are doing today. So here's the 4 quarts of fluid. All right, so now we're going to start by taking apart this area of underneath the hood and get to that fill bolt again, which is down here. All right, so we popped off here, and we're going to put those in a safe spot right in this little compartment right here. And here we just use the flathead. I want to keep everything real nice and clean. Next we're going to be unscrewing this bolt right here, and then that one right there, and then this one right down in there with our 10mm socket extension. So we're going to go ahead and pop the clips and remove the air filter. There's a total of 2 clips in the front here, and then we're going to slowly remove our air filter. All right, and we're going to keep that nice and clean by keeping it in a nice towel area, just like it sits. Okay, so now we have removed that, and now we've also gone ahead and got rid of them. Looking in here, and I'm not sure why, but I am seeing a ton of K&N oil in this Airbox, and that is super duper concerning. So I quick went ahead and Googled it, and it appears that that is totally normal. Something that happens with the blow-by, apparently. Just make sure you don't over oil your K&N air filter. Loosen this screw so far. Okay, we're loosening there. Okay, we're going to pull this hose out from here slowly. Alright, so we pulled this from there. As you can see, the whole assembly is starting to get loose. Next, we're going to be disconnecting this hose. It's a little trickier. All right, so now we've taken the hose off of here, so we're going to set that to the side. And now this whole assembly is loose. All right, so now we have pulled that right off, and as you can see, there is carbonation deposits right in the throttle body. So it's a great thing that we're cleaning that to get rid of all those oils. So it has obviously trickled down from there. Clean all this up, but we did keep this connected still, and we just tilted it backwards and placed it right atop of the battery. So this is where we're at right now, and this is just going to simply lift up in a moment. Okay, it does have a little suction, but it lifts right upward, and now we're seeing where our fill bolt is for the transmission fluid, and it looks pretty clean, but we're still going to clean up a lot more before we open that up because we don't want anything to go in. Also, now you can get a really good look at the throttle body and that fin that moves inward. So now, in order to go ahead and get this taken care of, there is 4 bolts holding the throttle body in. To go ahead and get them out is going to be a 10mm socket, but also there is a clip right here that we're going to need to lift up and disconnect from it so it separates from the throttle body. When you go ahead and you retighten them, you want to do it in a cross pattern, so you want to alternate. And once you loosen them all, you'll see there's like a tightening washer that you don't want to lose on these long screws. There's that little washer. You definitely don't want to lose them, neither of them. All right, so now the throttle body has gone ahead and had all 4 screws removed. There's all 4 screws, bolts with washers attached. Just a little heads up, our retaining clip had a bunch of gunk in it. Made it really difficult to work out. But we turned the throttle body like so, and then we went ahead and we slowly worked this little retaining clip for this that we're going to take off in a moment. But a lot of dirt and debris collected in this area specifically. All right, so once you lift up that clip, you do need to push it inward in order to release this clip from the throttle body. And here's what the throttle body looks like with the carb deposits. That's where the clip goes inward. And now to the fun part, spraying out all the gunk. As you can see, it's slightly open. Your vehicle does have an automatic throttle adjuster, so it resets, and I'll have to reset it once we start the vehicle, but we're going to clean it now. So that setting that's preset by the computer will readjust again, but your vehicle has an automatically adjustable throttle. All right, so I have attached the sprayer straw to the throttle body and air intake cleaner, and now I'm going to spray the throttle body. It says... So that's what's coming out. I'm going to take a cloth and I'm going to wipe out the inside and keep spraying and wipe. All right, so I just did a glove change out, and this is what the throttle body is looking like now. I am going to spray it one more time. As you can see, a very thin area is open. That will readjust. The computer will do all the hard work for me once I start it up to give it the pitch I need. But this is what it looks like. That's after 116,000 miles clean. Now, this is when it was sprayed, what came out. This is what one of the rags looks like. But I cleaned it up really well as I can. This, I believe, is aluminum. So that's what it looks like, and there's still persistent carbonation deposit right there. But again, I'll try to spray it one more time, see if I can get any remaining carb removed. So I just sprayed it one more time, and remember how the paper towel looked underneath it? Now look how clean the paper towel looks. That's what you want to do. You want to clean it, and you want it to look good like that. And now I'm going to wipe it down one more time. Alright, so this is as good as we're going to get it without getting really obsessive compulsive. And this is what it looks like on the back side. That's as good as it can be, and this is what it looks like on the inside. As you can see, there is a slight gap view in there, but again, the computer for the vehicle, it will go ahead and it will adjust properly to where it's supposed to be, but it's as clean as it could possibly be in there. And I've taken the time to make sure that I even got, when I opened it slowly, I opened that valve by pushing on the side that's more inward, and this way I made sure I got on the edge, that edge lip too. And just don't get your fingers caught. It does hurt severely. Again, that's why it's great to wear protective glove wear, especially when cleaning and using hazardous materials like this. We're going to now put this safely to the side for later reinstallation. Here's a better look with the flashlight. Set it down. See how that lip gotten as clean as I could on that edge, both on that side and also on this side as well. So it's good to go. All right, so we cleaned up around the fill bolt area. Now we're going to go ahead and loosen it to make sure everything is all nicey nice when it comes time to fill it back up. For the purpose of unscrewing this fill bolt, we are utilizing a ratchet, and attached we have multiple extensions as well as a 15th 16th inch socket. You will need that for not only the fill plug but also the drain plug. Just keep that in mind. This fill bolt was one of the hardest bolts to remove. Make sure you wear long sleeves when trying to loosen it because it really hurts. All right, now that we know that the top side is good to go as far as refilling the transmission fluid, now we can work on the underside. This is where the drain plug is found. Now with that bolt, it does not have a washer. As you can see here, it does state a big warning sign, but again, fluid does get used, so that's why we're changing it in an interval. For both the fill bolt as well as the drain plug, this is what we're utilizing, a 15th 16th inch socket. You want to set your drain catch pan directly under the drain plug bolt underneath the vehicle, so this way when the fluid starts pouring out, you can catch it and make sure it's wide enough. That's why you want to have a wide collection pan. Alright, so this is what the drain plug looks like. As you can see, it's black there, but it looks normal. I'm going to just clean it off with some paper towels. And then once I'm done cleaning it off with some paper towels, I'll wipe it with a lint-free rag to make sure there are no filaments attached onto the drain plug. And once I've cleaned it off nicely, I'll go ahead and reattach it utilizing a torque wrench to the underside, and then I'll be ready to fill the vehicle with new transmission fluid up top. Overall, this is good to go. Looks good to me, and it's ready to be reattached at this point. Quick video note, I've done a lot of transmission fluid change outs in vehicles like Hondas, and this Hyundai has a great looking color to its transmission fluid, which is excellent for me. All right, so this is what the fluid looks like dumped. Those little tiny things are just air bubbles, but this fluid looks amazing. I'm not even gonna dip it in, I'm just wiping from the outside area right here. Look at how clean that transmission fluid looks. It looks amazing. So regular maintenance is very important to keep it looking like this, pristine. All right, so for the drain bolt, we are going ahead and setting the torque specs as 25 feet per pounds. And this way we have that nice and tightened on the underside. And then we're going to go ahead and move forward with measuring out and refilling however many quarts of transmission fluid we took out, we're going to put back in. So I'll tighten up. Now it's time to take off the fill bolt and put the funnel in and pour our first quart in. And this is what a full quart of transmission fluid, that's the marker line, looks like. It's right up at the top, and we're gonna dump this full quart inward into the transmission. Again, we're utilizing the Hyundai SP-CVT 1 transmission fluid. All right, so to be certain and safe, I have gone ahead and marked with a black Sharpie marker the top of the quart that we will be now opening and dumping into the transmission fill bolt area, utilizing our better of the two funnel. And then once that's empty, we will go ahead and fill up from the pan on the ground very carefully to the top of this bottle, and keep doing things like that until we have as much as we need back inside the vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and remove this fill bolt. So carefully, we'll wipe it with our microfiber cloth, stick in the funnel, and pour in our first quart of transmission fluid. All right, so that's what it looks like right now. We'll be sticking our filter in there soon. And here's what our fill bolt looks like. And we're just going to be wiping it down just to make sure it's good, but cover it, place it right here on top where it's safe. I'm going to go in and remove that gasket so we don't lose that. It's very important too. All right, so now we're going to be going ahead and putting that funnel into the fill hole. Like so. Bam, bada bing, bada boom. I do go ahead and put a seal at the top of the transmission fluid, like so. So make sure you remove that and make sure that doesn't go into the transmission. It's fast. No? Too fast. Easy, slow. there for a minute. Also, just for the record, make sure nothing's leaking out of the underside after you poured in your first quart. And as long as nothing has leaked, you're good to go with proceeding to pouring and filling up your bottles. Second quart going in because we know there's at least 2 quarts of transmission fluid that has drained. Nice and slow. Easy in. And this is exactly why you need to change your transmission fluid on a regular basis. So this is brand new transmission fluid. This is good worked up through used transmission fluid. So hope you learned from this, everyone. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and put the washer back on the fill bolt, as well as place the fill bolt back in its proper place.
Now we're putting the fill bolt back in its place because we have completely replaced the exact amount of fluid that we drained out back into the transmission.
Got to be extra careful not to mess that up. I'm just hand tightening it temporarily. Then once I hand tighten it, I'm going to torque it to 26 to 30 pounds per foot with a torque wrench. All right, we're going to be tightening it with 27.5 foot-pounds. Make sure you have the longest possible socket extension, otherwise you're not going to be able to torque it well enough. Make sure you check for any kind of leaks before putting the car all back together. All right, next we're going to go ahead and put the throttle body back on. Torque specs on the throttle body bolts that you're going to rethread in an X position is going to be in between 7 and 8 pounds, so hand tighten and you should be fine. So once again, here's our nicey clean, beautiful looking throttle body that we're going to go ahead and place back in its proper spot. So far we got 1 and 2 hand tighten. Alright, so now we have the throttle body back in place. Now we're going to go ahead and plug it back in and then put back together some other things. Alright, so once you push this clip back in, you will hear a click saying that it's back in place, but you will need a lower clip pinch that goes upward before you pull it out. So you could do that with a flathead screwdriver. The little clip is the biggest pain in the world. Took a flathead sideways to push down that little clip back in its proper position. Very, very annoying, hence why you don't want to do this all the time. Right, we got the bottom half of the airbox back in place and in alignment, ready for its 3 screws to go back in place, as well as 2 clips. Okay, I'm going to put these 2 pinch clips back in their proper place. 1, 2, all 3 bolts are back in place. There's the throttle body again. There comes the air filter back in its box where it belongs. There it goes, it's back in its box. Look at that unhappy pink residue. I'm not so happy with that. Top side of the airbox is back in its place with its 2 clips. Make sure you shove in the back side first before putting those clips in place. Make sure your big fat hose is connected back in place in the proper position. Ours is not yet lined up. I'm just sharing with you. Make sure this point over here lines up properly. Ours is not lined up yet properly. So now our big fat hose is lined up properly. Make sure yours is too. And how you can see that is if you look closely right here. Make sure that metal piece reaches in between the rubber pieces to the edge. Make sure you tighten this screw, holding the big fat hose in place to the throttle body. Next, you want to line up your hose. It's going to go into here, and then it's going to get pinch clamped back in its proper place. Then you have this hose that has to get put back in place as well, and then that pinch clamp is going to get put back in its proper place. Then you want to also perform an overall check before, of course, reconnecting that negative battery terminal. So we have the 2 clips put back in place. We have the 3 bolts. We have the pinch clamps on the hoses, as we should. We never loosened anything over here. We have everything plugged in back in its proper place, including the throttle body is back in place, as well as the electrical going into there. So everything here looks good up top. Of course, negative battery terminal still disconnected. Now we're going to be lowering the vehicle, making sure we don't have any leaks before doing so. Okay, so now we've gone ahead and replaced back the negative battery terminal. We're going to close up the hood, and I'm going to reset the throttle body, as well as let that new transmission fluid flow throughout each and every one of the gears in the vehicle. All right, hood's closed. Time to move on inside. All right, so now I'm in the vehicle. Now what you're going to do is you're going to have your foot off of the brake. Do not have it on the brake. I'm going to push the start button 2 times to start the car without starting the car. And I'm going to count to about 15 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now I'm going to push the button 1 time to turn off the vehicle. Remember, my feet are off of the brake pedals. Now I'm going to count to about 15 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now I'm going to put my foot on the brake and I'm going to start the vehicle. Idle is rough until the car resets. Remember, I have just cleaned the throttle body as well as changed out approximately 3 quarts of transmission fluid. Now I am going to begin cycling throughout each of the gears. So in order to do so, I am going to put my foot on the brake and I am going to slowly move throughout each gear. So I'm going to go from park to reverse, again keeping my foot on the brake. Okay, I'm now in reverse. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop it into neutral. I am now in neutral. Next, I am going to go ahead and go into drive. I am now in drive. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back into neutral. I'm back in neutral. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into reverse. There's a hard jump there. And now I am going to go ahead and go into park. I'm going to do this 2 to 3 times. And then when I'm done, I'm going to get out of the vehicle and I'm going to double check to make sure there are no leaks under the car. I'm still keeping my foot on the brake. I'm going back into reverse. Now I'm going to go into neutral. Next, I am going into drive. Now I am going to go back into neutral. I'm going to go into reverse. Now I am going to go ahead and go into park. Still have my foot on the brake. I'm going to do it one more time. Reverse. Neutral. Drive. Neutral. A lot smoother. Reverse. Still a little jumpy. Park. Okay, now I have my foot off of the brake and I'm going to check underneath to make sure there's no sort of leaks. Okay, so now I'm back in the vehicle. I'm going to turn off the car. I'm going to open the door. I'm going to close the door. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to restart the vehicle. Everything seems a-okay. I did have a scary EPB message pop up on the screen. However, remember, I had gone ahead and kept my foot on the brake to cycle through each and every one of those gears. So that could have triggered it. And I have this really annoying rattle. I need to move this thing that keeps rattling. I have the most annoyingest rattles in the world. I'm just going to go ahead and cycle throughout the gears before I go ahead and go throughout a test drive. I'm in reverse. I'm in neutral. Now I'm in drive. And I put it back in park. I'm going to turn off the vehicle. Okay, so I have hopefully successfully gone ahead and changed out the transmission fluid. And remember, that's only some of the fluid. And now I'm going to take it for a test drive. Keep checking for leaks, making sure everything is good and dandy as it should be. All right, now we're going to go for our little test drive. But first, we're going to go ahead and push this button to get our digital speedometer back up and running. So we push the documents button one time. Now we're going to push these up and down arrows until we see our speedometer. Ooh, it's hidden. We're going to do we're in park. You have to be in park to do this. We're going to select our contents by pushing in the OK button. And we are going to check once we get down to, since refueling, I love that one. I'm going to put on how fast we're driving. We selected it. Our attention level, we like that one. Tire pressure, we love that one. Drive mode, we love that one. Drive info, since refueling. Yep, everyth's all good. We're gonna actually click the documents button one time. Now we're back. Now we're gonna go back. There we are. Now we have our digital speedometer back up on the dash. And we're gonna go for our nice little test drive right now. Our test drive is going so well. We're gonna keep going. hope you're enjoying this. All right, so we're still continuing our test drive. Let's start up the vehicle again. We stopped somewhere quickly. Everything seems to be going well. Okay, so the test drive, it went well. We went just over 2 miles. Check those stats over here. We do need to fill up the tires to proper tire pressure, but we went 2.8 miles. Everything seemed pretty well. I'm actually surprised we got 25 miles to the gallon for in-town driving. It's slowly dropping the more I'm talking to you with the vehicle on, but idle seems to be fine. Somewhere around 700 RPMs. That's what we're running at. But it seems to be idling smoothly, and it'll automatically self-adjust because that's what it's good at doing. And the transmission seemed to be running fairly well. I was actually really surprised there wasn't as many slips as there recently has been. Slipping from first gear to second gear realistically. Up the hill seemed a little bit easier, but overall really well. Hope you all enjoyed this video, found it very helpful towards your vehicle needs. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great videos such as this one. Other than that, thanks so much for watching. Take care now. Bye.